Southeastern Australia is bracing for probably the biggest weather event we've seen so far this year. In fact, undoubtedly the biggest weather event so far this year, with multiple fronts, a big low pressure system, heavy rain, powerful winds. We're going to see low-level snow. This system has pretty much everything going for it in terms of damaging conditions, but also cold weather as it moves through. So it's unseasonably cold weather moving into Southeastern Australia, and that's quite remarkable after we've seen unseasonably warm weather over the last few months right across Southeastern Australia, particularly during April, where we had some records broken in terms of heat across large portions of the country. Let's have a look at some of the details of what's happening. So the first front is going to be moving through on Wednesday. So late Wednesday, this front is going to be progressing across the southeast, bringing some rain with it, some gusty winds, but it's not going to be all that powerful initially. Into Thursday, winds are going to increase for South Australia and also for Tasmania, and possibly in parts of Victoria as well. We're going to see those winds increasing, most likely in the west. But there's a bit of uncertainty exactly where the strongest winds will be on Thursday, around Victoria in particular. But into Friday, that low is really going to deepen. We're going to have multiple centres, so that means that we're going to have multiple bursts of powerful winds, particularly for Tasmania and Victoria on Friday. We're going to be seeing damaging winds. Potentially, coastal areas could see gusts in excess of 110 kilometres an hour on Friday, so really strong winds. And it's also rare locations for those winds to be strong as well, because the east coast of Tasmania looks like seeing some of those strongest winds as the system is quite fierce. Over the weekend, though, as you can see, the low is going to drift away from the coast. We might still have a couple of smaller low-pressure centres that will be close into the coast on Saturday and Sunday, and so that means we could still see some powerful winds running up the New South Wales coast and also for eastern Victoria, and so that also means some heavy rain could be impacting on those areas. So in terms of the rain totals, at this stage, the heaviest rain looks like being eastern and southeastern parts of Tasmania. Widespread falls there above 100 millimetres are likely, and we could be seeing some falls much heavier than that depending on what happens with those smaller low pressure systems. So we could see some flooding in eastern Tasmania. Also, southern Victoria is likely to see widespread falls of about 50 millimetres, but some places could see over 100 depending on those lows. Across the ranges, and we'll see some pretty large amounts of snowfall, and across northern parts of Victoria we'll still see widespread falls of about 5 to 15 millimetres. So these rain totals for most of southeastern Australia, it's going to be the biggest rain event we've had for since last year, really, for much of southeastern Australia. In terms of the temperatures, well, it's going to be becoming a fair bit cooler as these systems move through. So you can see on Wednesday that first front approaching will have mild temperatures across the southeast, anywhere shaded in yellow above 20 degrees. So warm temperatures in Sydney hitting about 25 degrees. But as you can see, one day further, and we've got much colder conditions right across the region. We're going to have wind chill as well, making it feel much colder. So on Thursday, Tasmania and South Australia, that's going to be one of the colder days. But into Friday again, extra wind chill right across Victoria and also Tasmania, and those temperatures are going to be bitterly cold, and so it's definitely a good time to be heading out and getting some more winter clothes if you aren't already prepared, because you might even want a windbreaker or a raincoat to survive this kind of weather. In terms of what's happening with the snow, well, we're going to have some fairly low-level snow as well with this system, probably down to about 1,000 metres in quite a few locations. So across the alpine areas, we're likely to see totals in the order of 50 centimetres, maybe more than that, a small chance of over 80 centimetres as well. But even around Oberon, so on the central tablelands in New South Wales, we're likely to see snowfall probably in the order of about 10 centimetres there. So pretty substantial system. And in terms of what else is happening this week, well, not too much. We've got this big high that's going to take over much of the rest of the nation, leading to generally sunny skies. So it's really going to be wild weather across the southeast, sunny weather across pretty much everywhere else, and cooler temperatures spreading all the way up into the north of the country.